How would you describe life after now being in Forefront for a while?
I think it really fits with kind of what I see like the big vision for my business to be, which is lifestyle design and not just being super tied to my business all the time. Like I like having a life as well. And it really just fits into that and it makes everything really easy.
All right, and I've got Cristina, a Forefront CRM customer here with me. I'm so grateful for you joining us. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Danny. My name is Cristina Kudlock. I'm the owner of Mrs. Property Solutions, and we invest in the Los Angeles and Phoenix markets.
Nice. What is your typical exit strategy and how many deals are you doing per year roughly?
So we're mainly wholesaling, and last year we did 25. We're hoping to ramp that up this year, setting a good pace so far.
All right. So what was happening in your business before you got a CRM? Like what was business like before you had a CRM to manage your leads?
Crazy. When you first start off, you're operating off of like Post-it notes and just like what you have in your calendar, and you start searching around and you're like, all right, I need to be a little bit more legit about this. And I've been on a few CRMs before joining Forefront. So I've had experience with a few.
What was it that caused you to want to switch and move over to Forefront?
The biggest thing was all of the great automations that you guys do. And I love how you can see it's very like visually, it just makes sense to me, right? I like how you can see the progression of like where your deals are at in the sales cycle from a bird's eye view. I love that. I love that it keeps all your hot leads on that one sheet and then, puts stuff that's in follow-up kind of out of the way so they're not at the forefront. And the CRM before just really didn't have very many automations. It looked visually appealing like Forefront. It made it very, very difficult to do some of the automations that I wanted to do. And that's when I started searching around and found, I actually was recommended by a few friends that Forefront was working really well for them.
Cool. So what kind of automations are you utilizing?
So we do texting and then we do email follow-ups. We also even have it hooked up right now to do an automation with click to mail, which actually lets us send postcards or letters, whatever you want, to your customers too. So you could put, based on what kind of interactions you've had with them, maybe they're going to be in a longer sales cycle. So you want to hit them with a text every month, a call every month, and then maybe a letter every month. So it makes it really easy for you to set all that up, and you just kind of pick what follow-up sequence you want to put them onto, and then the CRM does a lot of it for you.
Did you have any fears about coming into Forefront? Was there any kind of hesitation as you were looking to join and move into it?
100%, because it's transferring all of your data that's in your old CRM into your new one, and then hoping that nothing falls beneath the cracks. And then there's also just like the learning curve of learning a new system, training your team on the new system. So it definitely was daunting and something that I probably put off for way too long, just because it was like a little bit overwhelming thinking of what a chore that was to switch CRMs, but it actually went a lot easier than what I had expected. So that was great.
How long do you think it took you to make that transition?
Getting everything in, I had a VA help me with most of it. And I think the hardest part was because of how everything was set up in my old CRM and how it did notes didn't quite talk as seamlessly as with how Forefront does notes. And so that's probably what took the bulk of it. But I just had my VA go in and like copy and paste lots of stuff and transfer it in. And it couldn't have taken longer than 2 weeks, a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. So it wasn't as bad as I was expecting.
Oh, cool. Do you feel like with the Forefront CRM, do you feel like you're spending a lot of time being an admin of a CRM versus doing deals? What is the situation like that for you with Forefront?
It's made it really, really easy to stay in the loop without doing too much of the managing of the CRM. And then that plus all of the automations, the automations take a little while to set them up and get them tweaked into exactly how you want. But after you do that once, then they're there. You only have so many different responses that someone is going to give you that makes you decide which kind of follow-up sequence that they need to go in. So after those are set, it's pretty much just like goes on its own. So we've been really happy with it.
If you could describe Forefront in just one word, what would it be?
Probably easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably easy. Yeah, it's a lot of the stuff is really intuitive. And I really like that you guys are always doing updates with it. The updates, every now and then, like there was a really big update when the inbox was added and everything. So it did take a little bit of like relearning just to make sure we understand all of it. But at the end of the day, after you guys always do these updates, it, you know, it makes our life even easier. So
yeah, cool. No, I appreciate that perspective on it, because it is, you know, people get used to using something some way and we're like, you know, they could be made better this way. But at the same time, to spring a change on somebody, you know,
right.
And that's why we try to communicate it as much as possible also in the Q&A calls before we do those. But and then they're not like stressed out because that's their one role and they're just like you know, owning it. Well, it was nice to talk with you and get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, you too. I appreciate you've been really helpful. There's several times where I've reached out and just things with the CRM or whatever, but you've always been really helpful. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me about, you know, Forefront and what it's meant for you and your business. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah, thank you, Danny, for creating a great product.